Hi, my name is Linda Coppens, and I'm going to tell you something about the way we use data in our daily business at the Dutch Handball Academy when it comes to injury surveillance. Well, what am I going to talk about today? I'm going to tell you something about how we work with data at the Dutch Handball Academy. First, I'm going to tell you something about the injury registration that we do, and we're going to take a look back in the past 10 years. What did we learn from the past? How do we use data at the moment? And what are our future goals? At first, I'm going to tell you something about our program. Well, the Dutch Handball Academy for Girls was started in 2006. Talented youth handball players live and train at the National Training Center Papendal in Arnhem, where about 16 hours of training are combined with school, workshops, all to develop elite handball players for the future. In 2018, 12 years after the start of the Women's Academy, we have started a program for the boys as well at Papendal. At this moment, we have 21 girls and 15 boys in our program at Papendal. The youngest player is 15 years old and the oldest one is 20 years old. For me, this is my third season as a physiotherapist at the Handball Academy, but I've started working with the national youth selections in 2016 already. I don't think injury surveillance with a form like this is very special. I think most of you will work with forms like this. So I'm just going to quickly show you the form we use and then move on to what we actually do with it. Well, we try to register as much as info as possible, and during the season, this gives us insight in how many injuries we have per season, but also which body parts are mostly injured, what kind of injuries do you have, do injuries take place during matches or training, are they contact, non-contact injuries, is it maybe caused by overuse? And we try to take a look at it after the season, but also during the season. So, for example, when we look at the COVID-19 period, we have seen much more ACL injuries than we normally do. When we take a look at the period from season 2009-2010 until the season 2018-2019, we have had a group of 102 female handball players at the Handball Academy. As you can see, most players stay at the Handball Academy for training for 2 or more years, mostly. Of this total group of 102 players, only one athlete didn't have any injuries during their career at the Handball Academy. So over a period of 10 years, we have counted 916 injuries in total. As you can see, the knee, ankle, and lower leg were most injured body parts. So we're going to take a closer look to the affected body areas on the next sheet. Of the acute injuries, a lot of them were contact injuries. The knee is an exception in this. In the knee injuries, we see a small difference between contact and non-contact, in which non-contact injuries are more frequent. When we take a look at the repetitive injuries, we've seen that muscles and tendons in the legs are mostly affected. Because we have seen a lot of repetitive injuries as well, we have taken a closer look to the individual seasons to see if we can find any trends in the development of those injuries. Well, we have noticed that there's a clear peak in the number of injuries in the same period every year. As you can see, those peaks are in September, October mostly, and in January. This is an example of 2 years ago, so you can see the boys on the screen as well. When we take a look at the load and the AC ratios, we see the same peak in a ratio at the same moment. So mostly the beginning of the season, where the clubs start playing competition after the summer break, and the month January after the Christmas holidays. What did we learn when we take a look at the data from the past 10 years? Well, at first, we see that despite injury prevention programs that we have tried to implement during the years, there's still quite a lot of injuries at the Handball Academy. So I think injury prevention does still need more and more attention in the future as well. But how? I think we might come to the same problems other programs or studies experience as well. How can we make sure that the players do the preventive exercises and keep on doing this? Well, I think this is something we can only do together. So also the trainers and coaches need to be involved, but also meetings like this can really help in making progress in this part, I guess. Well, another thing that we've learned is that a good progress and load management during the season is key. Especially the start of the season and the winter break seem to be points of interest in this. And I think this is easier said than done, since all of our players play their matches in different clubs, and a lot of them have international programs as well. So, for example, EHF and IHF tournaments during the summer, EHF Cup matches starting in October. The older players who join the A team as well will have international weeks in December and January. So I think this is something that we can only do together. Well, we try to monitor the load of our individual players as much as possible to have a lot of influence on this program and on this periodization. For this, we use Smartabase. This daily data is very valuable for us in preventing injuries, like to see how much is too much for our athletes, but also to build up a proper return to play after injury. So when is this player ready to make a next step? All players are asked to fill in a wellness form every morning before the first training. We've tried to make it as easy as possible, so it doesn't take much time and they can easily fill in this form on their mobile. The questions they are asked give us a daily update about how they feel, did they sleep well, do they experience stress, soreness, pain maybe, are they motivated for training, how confident do they feel, etc., etc. We also ask the players to fill in a short report about their training and matches. How much did they do? How intense or heavy did it feel for them? And besides this info from the players, we also monitor their load during the training. For example, how many accelerations or decelerations did the player have? How many jumps? How high did they jump? How was his or her heart rate and trim? All this together gives us a lot of info about the load and ratio individually. For example, the same training session can be a lot heavier for a back player than a wing player. All this data is collected in a dashboard, and the trainers can see this as well. So this gives us an insight about the ratios, but also the possible restrictions based on injury or load. So for example, for a proper build-up or of the load after an injury, a player it might be better for a training to train only for 1 hour today instead of 2 hours. And maybe a restriction in the number of jumps during ball training today can possibly reduce the risk on a knee injury. So this gives us information about, are the players ready to train? I think this data collection and evaluation will be more and more important in our program in the future. Not only do we want to see what the next few years will look like, but we would also like to find a key to predict or even prevent injuries. Well, this was my presentation. Thanks for your attention. Please feel welcome to send me feedback or questions by my email address. It's on the screen. Bye!